big reveal.
I too want to thank Elastic for. Is this the right one? Oh, that's so awkward. I just did a Google and I assumed it's the only one. Wait, so there's more?
You're sharing your screen? Then we might have to fiddle with our tech here.
That's good because I'm showing the wrong thing, you know?
I'm seeing RAG made easy on the
Yes, we just need
the
to get
Zoom.
There you go.
We just got to switch the source for here in the room.
Okay.
Huh? Oh, that's a good look. You're probably better off watching that. Probably better off.
Almost there.
Okay,
No promises about anything.
So we probably use one of these three. This
Zoom
one.
piece.
We'll try another one. We have a lot of options.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Sweet.
wow.
Nice. Thank you, Philip.
That works. Okay, you ready?
No.
No, yeah, you are.
Oh,
All right.
so excited. I've been like waiting for this all day because it's been all day that we had to wait. So there's that. Yeah, I want to thank. There's Phil Webb. Everybody just stare at him.
Ooh,
Just stare at him. Like, give him the dirty eye. Like
he loves that.
point.
Nice.
No, thanks Elastic for hosting us, and Phil and I, the other Phil, the Kren, he and I did a blog on. We're going to talk about Spring AI today, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is this meetup, right?
That's right.
Right.
It's about Spring AI.
Okay, we did a blog on Spring AI and Elasticsearch as your vector database, and it's a hoot. So read that, but after, not right now. I mean, not right now. You know, it's fine. Okay, hi. So, do the thing. Yeah, okay, go.
I'm James Ward. I work at AWS as a developer advocate and work mostly on agent interoperability with MCP and now A to A. So happy to be here with Josh. And how many of you use Spring? Yeah, some. Okay, great. But we're going to show you how awesome Spring AI is today. So that's the plan.
It's pronounced I.
Spring AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Josh, what are we? Oh yeah, there's our LinkedIn's.
Yeah. So we have a YouTube channel. You can find us, and we have a LinkedIn's. You can find us on the internet. How long?
Josh and I just last Friday did
Yeah.
a live session on Coffee and Software
Yeah.
about the new Spring DevTools MCP server that I showed it to you.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was great because I was like, Josh, I don't know if this is gonna work. And it didn't at first, but then we got it working. And so yeah, it was a true live session. You had no idea what was coming at
No
you.
idea. No, I mean it's just like if he's been cooking up some cool stuff, and that's what I love to see is cool people cooking up cool stuff. Okay, let's dive right into this. Yeah, like
Let's dive in.
what?
And I'm gonna ask dumb questions. That's my job.
Oh, well, me too. Yeah. Okay. Good. So look, we're here. We wanted to talk about AI and the new. So we just released on May 22nd and May 20th of this year, a month ago, Spring AI 1.0, right? And this is a big release. So we figured we'd talk about some of the possibilities and using the project and all that. But as always, as with all of these things, it's no fun just to like scour through Java docs, you know. So we thought we'd maybe motivate it a little bit. Oh, by the way, where's that? Oh, is this actually? So have you tried this?
Yeah.
Is it any good?
Oh, LaCroix are fabulous. It's like a hint of lime. Yeah, give that a try.
No.
No, not for you. That's normal for LaCroix.
Who did that to
It's
me?
not a spindrift.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I wanted to motivate this. You know, what are we gonna do talking about, right? And normally, what I like to talk about is because I have a terrible dog. Okay, his name is Peanut. Peanut is the worst dog. The worst dog. I mean, there's lots of good dogs. I don't have one, right? I have the worst dog. His name is Peanut, and we keep him only for 3 reasons. And I talk about this a lot. We keep him for 3 reasons. One is because even terrible dogs deserve loving homes. 2 is ego. In my home, my partner and my daughter both speak 5 languages. But 3.5. So if we didn't have that stupid dog, then I would be the stupidest in the house. That will not stand. And then 3, finally, is he is just really cute, right? I know, so cute.
Leave it for Cookie.
So cute, complete with the rubber ducky. He's a coder, and he likes to, duck. Is that vibe coding for the old?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I didn't
Before
realize.
vibe coding, we called it rubber ducking.
Yeah. Anyway, he's so anyway, very cute on the outside, but like pure evil on the inside, pure malevolence. Not a good dog. Terrible, terrible dog. And I think about him a lot because he's omniscient and evil. And I think about him a lot. And I think about this other dog about which I learned during the pandemic in 2022 or 2021. This dog's name is Prancer. So this woman put, that's so awkward.
Oh, it doesn't zoom.
You know what the
through-
one thing
it
Zoom
doesn't
cannot
zoom
do?
through
Yeah,
Zoom.
you can't
Oh.
zoom on Zoom. It's just, come on, guys. Look, do you see this? This is you should demand a refund. Okay, false. See that? Oh, so wait, whoops. Right? Oh, it's control. See how I have zoomed in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How come Zoom
Not
doesn't
through
zoom?
You see that there's 21 there?
What?
There's 21 there on your screen.
Yeah, 21.
God. Anyway, so anyway, 2021, and this woman was trying to find a new home for this dog, and she expressed her exasperation at this terrible, terrible dog that she had, right? And so she wrote a post about it here, and she says, well, "Where's the dog? No, Prancer. Did somebody
What happened to Prancer?
they remove the URL?" There.
There it is.
Okay, so she wrote this post, and this post is great. She says, "Okay, I've tried for the last several months to post this dog for adoption and make him sound palatable. The problem is he's just not. There's not a very big market for neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dogs that look like gremlins." Who starts a conversation like that? Like, wow. But I have to believe there's someone out there for Prancer because I'm tired, and so is my family. Every day we live in the grips of the demonic Chihuahua hellscape he has created in our home. If you own a Chihuahua, you probably know what I'm talking about. He's literally the Chihuahua meme that describes him as being 50% hatred and 50% tremble. If you're intrigued and horrified about how this animal sounds already, just wait. And of course I am, right? I mean, who wouldn't be at this point? She continues. She says his first week he was too terrified and didn't have a personality. As awful as it sounds, I kind of liked him better that way. He was quiet and just laid on the couch. He didn't bother anyone. I was excited to see him come out of his shell and become a real dog. I'm now convinced at this point that he's not a real dog, but more like a vessel for a traumatized Victorian child. Slander. This dog, this poor dog, the slander on this poor dog. She continues she continues, we already addressed the men and children situation. If you have people over, he'd have to be put away like he's a vacuum. I know finding someone who wants a Chucky doll in a dog's body is hard, but I have to try.
I don't know if everybody remembers the Chucky
Oh,
reference.
Actually,
That's an old one.
Who watched Chucky in the 80s and 90s? Okay, good. So some of it. Okay.
Homework for the rest of you.
I'm dating ourselves there.
Yeah. And she signs off, he's only 2 years old and will probably live to be 21 through pure spite. So take that into account if you're interested, right? So this poor dog just absolutely slandered on this post here. But it worked, right? The dog went viral. It went viral. Like here's People Magazine. You know, I show this overseas. Nobody knows what People Magazine is. Who knows what People Magazine is? We have that here. It's in the checkout stand, if nothing else, right? When you go to the grocery, which I used to do back in 1997. And then you've got here's USA Today, right?
Zoom doesn't work.
Zoom doesn't work. Oh, it's so awkward. And then it's a demonic Chihuahua hellscape. Meet Prancer, the puppy everyone wants after a brutally honest Facebook post. Very cute. Totally cute dog. I'd totally pet this dog, right? That's a cute dog. I'd probably lose a digit, but still, I'd pet that dog. So then you get BuzzFeed News. We caught up with Prancer, the viral nightmare Chihuahua. We found a story of redemption, right? And this is years ago. This is before the AI slop moment, you know? And then, of course, because apparently there's nothing else to report that day, the New York Times. Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua, finds a home. So anyway, this dog went viral, and I think about this dog a lot, and yeah, like somebody adopted this dog, okay? That's good. But how do the rest of us adopt dogs, right? We go to a shelter, we interview the shelter, not the dogs, because they can't, as far as I know, speak. And then we ask questions, and then hopefully we arrive at a dog. So I figured we can kind of duplicate
This
that.
would be a great place for an AI agent to help us, right?
Yeah,
We could have an AI agent help us adopt dogs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Take something intrinsically warm and beautiful, like the bond between a person and an animal, and remove it. Replace it with cold sentient software. Okay, So let's do that. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build some software, as always. I guess we should pick out. Well, so okay, we're gonna use Spring. Take that for granted. It's in the title. But what else are we gonna use? We need a model.
Yeah, we're gonna use some models on AWS Bedrock, and do we want to share that part now, or?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that. So I will say that you can use Spring with more than 20 different AI models. Spring AI is a project we're gonna be looking at. But of course, you should be, definitely checking out this Amazon.
Yeah, so
stuff.
Bedrock has a bunch of foundation models on it. And so we've already done some setup on AWS to be able to access these models and use them. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So in the Bedrock console, we can come in here and we'll be able to see that there's a bunch of models. To enable access to those models, we go to this model access button, and then we can see all the different models that we can access. So there's the Anthropic models, there's the Amazon models, the Nova models, Cohere models. And so for today, what we're going to be using is a Nova model, so that's an Amazon model, and then we're going to be using a Cohere model for embeddings. We'll get into that. And we've already requested access. You have to go through and click a few buttons and say, yes, I do want to use this model, and I agree to the terms of using that model. So we've requested access to Nova Pro. And then we also have down lower, I always get confused on what is it, Australian scrolling or something like that. I always scroll the wrong way on your computer. And then we're using the Cohere Embed Multilingual model. So those are the two models that we're going to use.
Does the toilets go the other way? Is that?
Yeah, no, they literally call it Australian
I
scrolling.
had never heard
Yeah,
that before.
yeah, everything's opposite down there.
So you enabled it.
Yes, we enabled it. And then we're going to use Spring AI to connect to those models, and we'll see the code for that. in a
But so
minute.
these aren't all models that Amazon themselves built. You're hosting conveniently. Some of there's DeepSeek and Llama.
Yeah, third-party models, and then there's the first-party models from Amazon as well.
But you only need one library, one API to talk to all of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we'll get into the Converse API, but we have an API that provides essentially a consistent way to talk to all the different models.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah. So that's going to give us inference. It's just these models, most of them are provided as a serverless, pay for what you use style tokens, token based. So that's what we're going to use for our inference models. Anything else on that?
You should go to AWS to try that out. Where do they go? Is that
Yeah, just the AWS console.
Okay.
AWS.amazon.com.
What is AWS?
Log in. What is AWS? Yeah, no one's heard of that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's good. So we got you're not gonna get far without a model, okay? You need one. Actually, there's a lot of different models. That's the other thing, is in a typical application, you have questions around how do you generate embeddings? How do you talk to a chat model? How do you do image generation? How do you do transcription of audio files, right? There's different models specialized for different purposes. Spring AI has abstract interfaces that allows you to talk to all these different things, and there are different implementations of those interfaces. But today we're going to focus on, I think, by far the most commonly used kind of model, which is a chat model, right?
Yeah, just a text. Yeah,
Text
just text.
Okay, so we're gonna go, as always, to my second favorite place on the internet. My first favorite place on the internet, of course, is of course production. My second favorite place, of course, is start.spring.io. We're gonna build a new application. We have some things we need to take care of. First of all, what do we want to call the thing? I'm gonna call it an assistant because I'm great with names, right? Great with names. I get that.
It's going to assist you. So,
Yeah. And I'm really good with names. I get that from my dad. My dad was great with names. When I was a small boy, we had a small white dog, and my father named him White Dog. Again, amazing with names, okay? So now we need to add some dependencies here. We're gonna add the Spring Web support. We're gonna add the Spring Actuator for observability support. We're gonna I need a database. Now, I want Postgres. I need a vector store. That's what I really am trying to say. I need a vector store, of which there are 5,000, right? And so a vector store is just a data structure optimized for similarity searching. Not a huge deal. There's actually an in-memory, 300-line Java class in Spring AI that you can use just for just as for giggles, basically. That'll work too. You don't have to use a third-party vector database, but there are a lot of really good ones, including wink wink Elastic, who sponsored very kindly this meetup today. So that's a very, very good one. And there's other ones as well, and we support them all. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm also using Postgres. I need a Postgres database for my sort of other database right now, right? For my SQL data. And we've got all the dogs in there. So I can also treat Postgres as a sort of not great vector store, okay? It does the job. So I'm gonna because I'm lazy, I will just use Spring AI support for treating Postgres as a vector store. If I were even lazier, I could choose the Docker Compose support, and then the Spring initializer would give you a Docker Compose file, which which will automatically start up and will have a Docker image with Postgres, the PG vectors enabled Postgres distribution in there. But I've already got that running. I'm not quite that lazy. We have the PG vector store, the Actuator, the web. We need some ORM persistence, so I'm going to use Spring Data JDBC. I'm going to use, what else do I need? What does that sound? Does anybody else hear that, or is it just me?
Printer. There's the printer.
There's a printer?
Yeah.
Wow.
We need Bedrock.
Bedrock, okay,
Yep.
need the Bedrock both.
Yep, both of them.
Okay, we've got two. So we got Amazon Bedrock and Amazon Bedrock Converse. What's the diff?
So we're using the Converse one for our chat conversation that we're gonna have with the AI, and then we're using the Bedrock one for our embedding. So we'll get into for doing RAG. So we'll reveal all that as we go. But
Mysteries unfold.
yeah,
Have you tried this? It is actually quite terrible. Here, try this.
I've had these before. Yeah,
Wow.
it's no spindrift.
No,
Yeah.
what's, I don't even know what that means. It made me not understand English. What is Spindrift?
Oh, it's a really good version of that.
Oh, I'm new to that whole
That's
world.
the gold standard, I would say.
For like tasteless, so carbonated drinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would say it has, 5% taste. It's like real juice.
The taste is. I've seen the memes and now I finally.
Like 000 across the board.
Right. Yeah.
It's the good stuff.
It's 20% of zero.
Yield free.
Okay, so Amazon Bedrock, Amazon Converse, Dev Tools, JDBC, Vector Database, Actuator, Web. Oh, I feel like we're missing something. Oh, we want the
MCP client.
MCP client. We'll talk about what that is in a second, and also the JDBC chat memory. Okay, so we're gonna come back to all these things in due course. Okay, I think you know what, it'll be fine. Well,
We can always add them later.
now, and what the other things we have to specify are, of course, I can't zoom in, how we want to package our application. So we've got obviously the jar versus .war. So we've chosen jar because as has always been the case, this is a big part of my overarching and guiding personal philosophy of make jar, not war. So there's that. And then what version of Java? Friends, Java 24 is the current GA version of Java. Java 25 is coming. It's coming in September. So right as the summer ends, we'll have a new version of Java. And that version of Java has a new feature that I just love. It's called, implicit classes or top level methods or whatever. And so I was talking to a friend, and this is a terrible idea. You should never do what I'm about to show you. Okay, never do this. But the fact that it works is actually amazing to me. Have you seen this, Phil? You have. Okay? Poor Phil.
No,
Oh, so-
avert your eyes.
avert your eyes, buddy. So so I've got this folder that I named LOL. No reason. Okay, and I've got a little script in there. So I could, instead of using start.spring.io, I could just open this script up in my IDE, and so let me make this. Can you see my little script? It's empty right now. There's some comments in there. Let me make that bigger. There you go. Can you see that? So I'm using this goofy Zoom menu is in the way.
All right.
Right? It's using a third-party project called JBang, which is a tool for scripting Java. Okay, and you can actually declare dependencies in comments, and they can be like Gitpack, basically Gitpack. So you can do that as well. And you can say I have files in this folder, but I don't have that in the moment. You can say I want to use Java 25, and that this is a preview feature. So this will there's actually a plugin for IntelliJ that'll actually sync all this stuff up and make it work. Okay. So now I have a script, and now I can go here, and and remember, I have a script, right? So void main, okay, io.println, where is this? Hello,
No suggestions.
what happened? Hold on, don't worry, it's gonna be fine.
Ah. Oh, there we go. Oh,
There we go.
There we go.
What, did it work there? I don't feel like that worked. Here, let's try running this. Okay. Script.java.
Wait, so you have a Java script?
Yeah, the good kind. That space is doing a lot of work. It's doing a lot of work. Okay, hold on. Wait. So idea, this one. Oh, do I have to run it? So here, you can.
Oh, maybe.
That's what it is. So chmod ax.
What is LOL?
LOL. Laugh out loud.
That means you have.
Keeping the files in, but yeah.
Laugh out loud. It's short for, because this is just terrible.
Wait, so you just ran a
Right.
Java script.
So I did script.java, and then it's got a shebang line, which tells a Unix-like operating system like macOS how to run it. And then JBang gets a hold of the source code and it runs the resulting code. And this won't be required come Java 25. Right now it is because I'm using a preview edition. But basically that works. So now if I open this up, maybe I just open up the script itself. Yeah, maybe that's the ticket. Okay. Sync.
I saw it do something.
You guys want questions at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're
okay.
done. Okay, there, that worked.
Awesome. Just checking.
Yeah, I mean, there's no making sense of any of this. So what is going on here? Is it because
It's all just so new.
You could always do it in an IDE.
You're really selling JavaScript.
Yeah,
here.
I don't think it's a good idea. I just think it's interesting. Okay, fine, here, I'll just do where's my, there. Here you go. Here you go. This is what, like I said, don't do this at home, okay? It's a terrible idea. But okay, so here, paste that in, okay? And like there's a plug, it's not a failure of JBang, it's a failure of the plugin for JBang. So okay, I've got a Spring app, right? I've got an HTTP controller, I've got a standalone bean, and I've got this thing that is source code that comes from this Git repository over here. Ask no questions about the source code behind the internet. And then I can just run this, right? Run. And there we go. There's an embedded Spring Boot app inside of a inside of a script, right? This is my build and my runtime, 31 lines of code.
I kind of miss Gradle though.
Shh, leave now. No, I mean, isn't that horrible? Have you ever seen such an abomination, right? It reminds me of Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. He said your scientists were so busy asking if they could, they never stopped to ask if they should, right? You can do it. You shouldn't, but you could. So we could write everything we're going to do today as a script, as a Java script.
We could.
Could.
Yeah, could. I don't think we should.
Definitely not. But I just think it's amazing that you can. That's Java 25. Did you notice that was a top level? See, that's the important part here, friends. This is just void main. There's no class around that. It's classless, like me, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, okay, we're gonna open up the rest of the code here.
Back to the regularly scheduled presentation.
Sure. I'm so excited about that. Nobody else is this.
Schedule. Wait, hold on.
Who did this to us? Okay, so by the way, see that UAO? That's a JavaScript. If I go here, unzip and open. Hello. I can't see because the Zoom is blocking my way. That's a JavaScript. It's the good kind of JavaScript. It's the only kind that you should use, okay? So it'll unzip and then open up this file in my IDE, which in this case is IntelliJ. Okay.
That's
fine.
bizarre.
Yeah, well. Okay, so we've got an application. We're gonna connect to a database. I happen to have a database running in the background. Good gravy, look at that font. There we go. I have a database running in the background. Let's just connect to that. VG password equals secret.
Don't tell anybody his password, please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
My database, okay? There you go. Select all from dog. Come on. Really? What did I do? There.
Look good to me.
Yeah, it looks delusions. Talk about hallucinations. So I've got a bunch of dogs, and then there's our dog Prancer. His ID is 45, and he's described as a demonic, neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dog that looks like a gremlin. So we're going to try and adopt that doggo. Okay, that's the goal here today, is to build an assistant to help adopt him. And in order to do that, we need to talk to our SQL database, which is running in the background there. So let me just specify some configuration. PostgreSQL, localhost, my database. And then we had a username. By the way, there's a couple things affecting me here right now, right? I'm typing at an angle, but also I think I told you, James, but I'm going through a little bit of a spiritual journey.
Oh,
You know, a little bit of a spiritual journey. I'm trying to learn Vim motions, right? How many of you know Vim motions in Vim? These are key commands that if you use them, allow you to be hip, right? But I'm not. And so I'm trying to learn these Vim motions, but it takes a long time to like learn these Vim motions. So I have all of my IDEs and text editors set up to use these new navigation key commands, but it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward because at Spring IO in beautiful Barcelona just a few months ago or a month ago. This is Anton Arhipov from the JetBrains product, and he created a talk called El
It's in the
Rápido,
call live.
coding like Josh
San
Long.
Francisco.
Yes.
Muting.
So he did a talk called El Rápido, coding like Josh Long, and it's all about how to use IntelliJ to go fast. But he did this at the same time as I, awkwardly, am going very, very slow. So I'm like hunting and pecking. I don't know how to use these mode. Anyway. So forgive me. It's going to take a little while to get through this tonight
Why are you doing this again?
because I want to go fast. I want to be cool.
Oh, you want to be cool. That's
I want to
what
be
it is.
cool.
Okay.
Okay. Like,
Right.
there's no.
Yeah.
I want to be hip. I want like.
Right.
Yeah. You know. Come on.
Yeah.
Just once. Okay, assistant. So we're gonna go here, go there. Oh goodness. Okay, too big. There we go. So we'll build a controller, just a simple HTTP controller.
So what we're gonna do is have a REST service that we can talk to our AI agent through to
Yeah,
adopt our docs.
an
Is that what we're
HTTP
doing?
controller, not a REST one, but yeah. So let's say user assistant, yeah, and assist. Okay, so we're gonna let people ask questions like so, and we'll make this a request param. And we're gonna use the Spring AI chat client. Okay, so chat client here is your one-stop shop for all your AI sort of interactions with a chat model. Now, what chat model? Well, again, it's the one that you've got auto-configured on the class path here, which is Bedrock and so on. You would normally need to specify an API key, but friends, I've already done that. I specified an environment variable before we got on stage here. So forgive me for not leaking my API credential. Just trust me that it's been done. Okay. So
You had to set up authentication to your AI provider, which we're using
Right.
Bedrock, so the AWS stuff.
right, do it. There. So
Okay.
I had to
Oh, yeah.
specify some of that stuff, but
Yeah. It's not like he's coding his username and password into the
Yeah.
source code here, like we're seeing on the screen or anything.
Right.
it'll be a
We're
warm
trying
day
to
in
be
San
secure.
Francisco,
Yeah.
before I show you that particular credential, because it's cold outside.
It is cold out. Yeah. Okay, so are we gonna set up our parameters for the chat client now?
Yeah. So
You wanna do
okay. So I'm gonna do some.
Go.
There's a
I'll help you with this part because it's tricky.
okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do spring.ai
Yeah.
.ai though.
Oh boy.
And then we're gonna use Bedrock. And then we're gonna use Converse, which is the API that gives us that consistent API to chat with the different models. And then we're gonna use the Nova. Do you wanna use Nova Lite or Nova Pro?
Pro.
Yeah, let's use Pro. We're
Okay.
professionals here.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, and then we're going to enable the chat client. So we just do no options, just enabled. It's
Okay.
true.
That feels good.
Okay, and then that's all we need for the chat. Do you want to set up the vector stuff now? or
Let's get
later?
that done so I don't forget,
Okay.
because it'll be very awkward later. So
Okay,
embedding equals.
So, yeah, we're gonna tell that for the embedding model that we're gonna get into, we're gonna use the Cohere model. So the way that we set that up is to say, yep, we're gonna use Bedrock Cohere. Okay, then we need to set a few parameters for the vector store. So that the PG vector stuff is gonna work with the embedding. So for that, let's do, it's the Spring AI vector store PG. Oh, you already got it. Wow, you're like fast with those Vim.
Well, I mean, but I've got auto completion,
Yay.
which is nice, but
Yeah, we
just those two.
we need to fix the auto completion on the.
Yeah, just those
Bedrock.
two properties are
Yeah,
not great.
that's-
So,
Okay, dimensions 1024.
okay,
That's like the dimensions of our array that's gonna hold our embeddings. So we set that to 1024 because that's what the Cohere model uses for
Right.
its size.
What data are you embedding?
Oh, we'll get there.
we'll get there.
Okay, just
Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah,
much.
we're just setting the
Jump
foundation.
ahead.
Yeah.
sorry.
So we've got the chat client here. Look, you could, these chat clients, like the JDBC client or the REST client, are cheap. You can create as many of them as you want. The JDBC client is a pretty good analogy. You have one or many JDBC clients, but you typically have one data source, maybe two at the most, right? You don't have a lot of data sources. So you can have a lot of different JDBC clients pre-configured with different defaults, but they all talk to the same data source, which is stateful and heavy, and there's a connection pool and all that. So the same dynamic exists here. You have a chat client. It in turn is a view with some pre-configured defaults talking to a chat model. This chat client is a fluid DSL, just like the REST client and the JDBC client and the web client and so on. And I think it's really good code. I think the people that worked on this must be geniuses. They're the best people, okay? You can't see that, but it's right there. It just says Josh Long. That's the best code, okay? So anyway,
It really throws you off that you can't.
it's just so wrong. Wait, can we do HDMI? It's 2025. We have the
Yeah.
power.
Yeah,
Ah,
too late.
We can use spindrift though.
Oh, we
Ah.
got some
Oh.
spindrift.
Right.
I'll try one of those.
There you go.
If I spit it out on this laptop, I swear.
Oh, it's good.
Thank you, sir.
If you don't-
shot.
oh,
No,
and
but-
I will open it away from your
Over
laptop.
the-
You're very protective of your
And my
laptop.
shirt, you've got like,
Oh, and your shirt.
yeah,
How long have you had that shirt?
too long. Can't you smell it? Hold on, let me see.
Oh, yeah, let's see if you like the spindrift.
Oh, it tastes like mushroom or something. Okay,
Raspberry lime.
sure. Is that what that is? So, okay,
We
call. Okay, there. So
What are we doing?
we're just making a call to the AI via the chat client using the fluid. We're passing in the user prompt. That's the question being asked from the user. And we're just gonna launch this and see what that spot us, okay? And we're gonna interact with it here. I'll do HTTP 8080/JLong/assistant question equals, my name is Josh, right? Let's see how that goes. Huh?
What is-
Hey, it's
Hey,
Josh.
oh,
Nice
we
to
got
meet you.
Inference.
Right, we got inference. Okay, good. Let's see how this goes. So, okay, look, we're friends. We're like long time fast friends, right? So what's my name? This is gonna be easy. Ah,
It doesn't know your name.
why does this always happen? Why do I have this effect on people? So, I'm sorry, but I can't share or guess personal information about individuals. It's already forgotten me, right? Can you imagine how this feels? I can't. Anyway, it's very sad, and that's because these models don't have memory. So what we have to do is send a transcript of everything that's been said prior, along with each subsequent request, and that's tedious, busy work. So instead, we're going to use an advisor. Spring AI ships with this concept called an advisor. It's how you pre and post process requests bound for the downstream model. And so we're going to use a chat memory advisor. So we're just going to cook one of these up right over here. Don't mind me. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll just be over here. Come back in a minute, okay? I'll give you a topic. Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss, okay? JDBC repository.builder.
So we're gonna store the chat memory in our database through JDBC.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean,
what's going on?
if I can get through this, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that builder, I don't know why. I said, hey,
Is that like a because we can kind of thing?
well, no, because we got to store it somewhere, right? We don't want to lose it.
You can put it in memory, you can put it
Yeah.
into a database, so, yeah, you gotta put it- you
Elasticsearch,
gotta
we have
keep it
one for
somewhere.
that, you know?
Fair enough.
Okay, so there's an advisor, okay, and I've got it configured. It's a pluggable hierarchy, so you can plug in different implementations, but ultimately it boils down to this thing right here, right? This is gonna keep a finite, it's got a rolling window. So like basically, this will take any message, this will take any chat memory implementation, of which we have this, which is gonna keep a rolling window, which delegates ultimately to the thing that backs the persistence with JDBC. So it's a three-layered onion, so to speak, okay? So now we inject that over here. Prompt chat memory advisor, we're gonna call that memory. And we'll say default advisors is memory, okay? So now we try this again. I have DevTools, why am I restarting?
Right?
What is
We
going
didn't
on?
add the dev tools, but we
Didn't I?
should have. We should have.
I think I did.
No.
I did.
Oh, you did.
I'm
Well,
sitting
why
here
are we
restarting.
restarting
for-
this thing?
I don't know. Not so smart. Okay, so let's see.
Do you need to tell it the ID part yet, or is that later?
Oh, I do. Yeah. How's it gonna know, right? It needs to correlate which request goes to which user, right? It's gonna keep track of each user's conversations. So in the call site here, when we make the request, I'll specify a param for the chat memory dot conversation ID, passing in the user, right? Now, okay, hold on. If I
So
alt
that's the
tab,
user that comes in through the HTTP request path.
Yeah.
Is how of course, that could be like a session ID or some other token that you want to correlate those messages across.
oh, did I fail to set up the JDBC chat memory? Initialize schema, always, okay?
Hmm.
So now,
You want the Spring batch one? Is that the right one?
oh, son of a gun.
Catch.
JDBC
Nice, James.
chat memory initialize
Yeah,
schema,
it's close.
always.
And we've never even practiced this
No.
ever.
Got to see some JDC errors there, folks.
Yeah. Okay, hello, my name is Josh, or hello, Josh, great, okay, next one.
Oh, is it gonna work?
Hey, hello again, Josh. It remembered.
Yeah, it knows you.
I know, finally. So we've got memory, right? Okay, fine. But right now we have basically an open AI. We have an AI endpoint that's in the open. It's not the other thing.
Right.
Like it's an AI endpoint that's out there. That's what I'm trying to say. It's free for everybody to use. Right now, some kid could come here and like use this API endpoint, which is meant to help people find dogs, and they could like get help with their history homework or something, right? This thing has no particular purpose. We need to give it a mission, right? And that's called a system prompt. It's a prompt that governs or informs or helps regulate all the responses that are given in response to questions coming in from the users. So I happen to have a system prompt over here. So let me just go to my my folder here, and I've got a system prompt, and I'll just cat it out and pipe it to the buffer there, and I'll put that. Wait, this is wrong. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you can't cat that thing.
No, that was wrong.
But
Much better. Okay, there we go. So let's put that over here.
alias to the cat script to say dog.
So
Really good.
I'm gonna go here.
He's clever.
System.
You shall not be thwarted.
Put that in there. There we go. Okay. So Alt Tab, and you can see it says you are an AI-powered assistant to help people adopt a dog from the adoption agency named Pooch Palace with locations in Antwerp, Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, Paris, Mumbai, New Delhi, Barcelona, San Francisco, and London. Information about the dogs available will be presented below. If there's no information, then return a polite response suggesting that we don't have any dogs available. Fine. Moving on. So now, let's see. Which one did we use? This one. We're going to ask, we're trying to find our doggo Prancer. So do you have any neurotic dogs, right?
Thinking about it.
Okay, it tried. Okay, hi again, Josh. Well, that's very kind of you. I understand you're interested in adopting a dog and have a specific preference for a neurotic dog. While we aim to provide a wide variety of dogs for adoption, it's important that we note it's important that we categorize dogs based on their breed, age, size, and temperament rather than labeling them with terms like. I mean, that's fair. It basically just told me not to be like, not to slander the dogs, I guess. I don't know. That's feeling a little shamed here. Anyway, the point is it's trying to help, okay? It's acting like it's a representative. Look, it's even saying here, in the meantime, it just hallucinated, okay? It just made up these dogs. But it says, here are some dogs currently available for adoption at Pooch Palace, right? Actually, wait, did it hallucinate that?
Or it pulled it from your old chat memory.
Wait, okay. This is also worth investigating. So now we've got select all from Spring AI chat memory. No, that's new.
No, yeah.
It's all new. Wait, is that true? Wait, delete from there. Yeah, that's got to be new because there's only 6 records. So
Right.
go over here, go there.
How did it find those dogs?
Do
Where did
you?
they come from?
I don't know, but it's awfully good. Okay, do you have any neurotic dogs? Okay, there we go. So maybe it did see the previous ones.
Yeah.
So Pooch Palace, we focus on providing detailed information about each dog's temperament, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it knows it's meant to be an employee or an assistant of our fictitious dog adoption agency called Pooch Palace. We're on the right track. It hasn't helped us connect with an actual dog yet, but at least it's acting like it should be able to help us, but for whatever reason, it just can't, right?
It doesn't have any dogs yet.
No. So we need to give it access to the dogs. Where are our dogs?
Our dogs are, I don't know, at Pooch Palace.
Yeah, well, they're in the database, right? Surely,
Oh,
right.
in the database.
So we need to unearth that data. But here's the problem. We don't want to give, because look, what's the token count for Pro,
Oh, I don't know.
right?
We've got some experts here.
So we can send, what we want to do is we want to send the data that's in the database off to the model, fire it off to the model, have the model analyze the data, and then give us the one that best matches our query. But we don't want to send all the data. Could we send all the data here right now? We've got 18 records. Yes, of course we could send all of that data, right? That's nothing. It's a pittance. But it's the principle of the thing, right? There's a cost, a dollars and cents and complexity cost to every interaction with an LLM. So you want to reduce that by sending only the sub-selection that makes sense. So we're going to use a pattern called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, wherein we use the query to then drive a search in a vector store for the particular results that might potentially match. And then from that subset, we will send those off to the model for final analysis, which will then inform the response that we get. So we need to support this RAG process, which means first, we need to get the data from our SQL database to the vector store. Now, you and I both know that in this case, the vector store and the data source are the one and the same, or they're both Postgres. But I need to write it out into a vector store kind of like table that Spring AI will set up for us. So that's what we're going to do. When the program starts up, we're going to read from the SQL database and then write it out to the vector store. How are we going to read from the SQL database? Well, I'm going to write a repository, some data access logic, right? So interface dog. Well, actually, here we'll create
It's gonna be a lot of code.
yeah, int, hold on tight, int ID, string name, string owner, string description, okay? And there's my entity, and I love Java records. I'm a huge fan, okay? Big fan of Java records. And then we'll extend that, managing dog, whose primary key is of type integer. Okay, so there's my data access layer. So let's just do that here. We'll create I'll just inject the vector stream. Now, should you be doing this on the fly instead of as you write? No, you should do it as you write, but I'm doing that. So I'm going to read from each dog. Okay. And I'm going to create a Spring AI document to write information to the vector store. And it doesn't really all that much matter what I put in there, does it? It just needs to be consistent. So, whatever you put in there, as long as you're consistent from one run to another, you'll be fine. So I'm going to say vector store.add, and I'll add this document, and that looks okay. No, wait, something's wrong. I'm sorry. This is
I don't know this time.
This is a document about dogs. It should be called
Augment.
a document.
Document.
There you go. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and now configure.
So it's just initializing the data from our database into the vector store.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we're gonna create another advisor to then search the vector store on each query, right? So we'll just initialize that over here, pass that in, and we'll inject this old advisor over here, configure it, Q&A, go down.
Those are the three columns in the database, right? ID, name, description.
Yeah.
Okay, just,
Although it could be, it's arbitrary. I can put, there's no schema here. I can put whatever I want as long as it's the same, as long as I want to search on that,
So underneath the covers, when we say vector store add, that's using the embedding model, which is our Cohere model that we set up to actually do that encoding of the string that we're giving it into the vector, so that then that's in our database as a vector, so that then we can do the similarity search on the vector.
And it takes a little while. Actually, it's really fast on Bedrock though.
Awesome.
Whatever you're doing, it's so fast. I may have accidentally tripped and fell, and I tried the other ones, the other models from those other companies, and yeah, this is way faster. I mean, it's
Great.
Yeah, it's actually done. It's actually long since done. I just wanted a cup of coffee. So let's disable it though. There's no reason to rerun it each time. And we can look at
So normally in an architecture, you'd have some like ETL pipeline that is actually on like each insert or
Right.
update of your database, then creating the vectorized version of that. And so that then you'd have that data always up to date. You wouldn't be doing it in this manual.
right,
form.
retroactively, So I'm going to say select count from vector store. This is the table. In our configuration over here, we've got this. I'm telling it to initialize a table behind the scenes, right? So if I do that, I've got 18 rows. There's 18 dogs, right? Select count from dog. Okay.
18 dogs, 18 vectors.
Right. Embedding,
Awesome.
I think.
Don't you have tab completion in this?
Quite you. Okay, so that's what.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what our vectors look like.
Yeah, that's just it's a bunch of numbers, right? And the computation of those numbers is well, there's a reason all these chip companies are doing so well. It's because that's a GPU intense kind of thing usually. So something's got to store it. We're using Postgres, but we're using Postgres to store it, but we're using, like you said, the model to actually compute it, right?
Yeah.
And the trick is, if you change your embedding model, or behind the scenes, there's actually an interface called embedding model in Spring AI. If you change that, then you need to re-vectorize, re-embed every bit of data. You don't want to like change embedding models midstream, so to speak, right? It has to be in the same in vector space, as we say. Okay, so
Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Word vector space.
doesn't that sound cool?
That sounds
Especially
really
if that's
cool.
not in the next
I wanna
Bond
go to
movie,
vector
I'm
space.
gonna demand a refund.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it's running. So I don't know where my shell is. Why is my shell? Oh, here. Okay.
You have Vim bindings for your tabbing and your
No,
shell?
there's a thing called kind of Vim. It's a thing you can buy, and it makes your entire macOS Vim motions aware. So like messages and notes and reminders and everything. And I'm like, well, that's the ultimate keylogger, so that's probably not great. But also, I really want to do it. So I've been like, maybe.
You're going deep into this Vim thing.
I really am. It's really quite terrible. Somebody stop me before I Vim again.
Well, eventually you're not gonna be able to get out, so.
All right, it's over. We're done. Let's go home. He got a Vim escape joke in. So what were we doing?
We're trying to see if we have access to our neurotic dogs.
Oh, yeah. Aha. Aha. So
Hey.
Hey,
based on the provided context, there's one dog described with characteristics that might be interpreted as quote unquote neurotic. ID 45, name, Prancer, description, blah, blah, blah. However, it's important to note that to approach such descriptions with care.
it really is trying to
It's,
wean you off of this bad habit
I
you
know,
have.
it's resentful of the dog slander, and I understand, that's fair. Okay, so anyway,
Let's recap what happened.
yeah,
So we have the chat client. The chat client is connected through an advisor, right, to our memory and to our question and answer advisor, which is what gives us the RAG from the vectorized data that does the similarity search of those vectors, so that then when we send the prompt over to the LLM, it has those vectors in that prompt.
so right now we're just getting text back. One thing that, that's text is good, it's certainly in the right direction, but sometimes you just want an object that I can pass around. There are other layers of my API. So let's suppose I created dog adoption suggestion, int ID, string name, description actually is the one I want here. Okay, I'm gonna ask Spring AI to return that instead, entity.class, and I just realized there's music playing. Did you hear that before?
Nice. Some good elevator
I
music.
hear that before. I don't know where it just kind of started happening.
Okay,
Ooh,
there we go. So I asked it,
structured data.
yeah, I actually have a strongly typed Java object with an int for the ID and all that stuff that I can now keep. It's like an ORM for your AI or something, Yeah, so that's cool. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to string. Look, we cautioned about sending all the extra data, right? You don't want to send too much data to your model because you might rack up undue expenditures of your tokens. It's very important to keep track of that, right? It's very important to not let that token consumption run amok, okay? And I'm sure there's like a way to limit to cap spending and things like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. The point is you want to keep an eye on that. Because like I said, if it's not dollars and cents cost, there's at least a complexity cost, and somebody's going to pay something somewhere. You want to make sure you reduce that whenever possible. So Spring Boot has the Spring Boot Actuator. The Actuator provides a set of sort of observability endpoints that come out of the box with all sorts of good stuff. But it's not like you have to open up some of those endpoints. So I'll do that over here.
And it can also export metrics to whatever system you want to use for metrics, right?
Yeah. So what do you use for metrics?
Oh, the thing.
Okay. Too many to know. Does AWS have one?
Oh yeah, there's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, CloudWatch.
Oh yeah. Oh, we support that, right? So it's powered by micrometer, right? And that's right there. I was just testing.
Yeah,
you.
right.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, let's try this again. Okay, and that just drove some traffic. Now, if we go to the browser, localhost 8080 Actuator, you can see there's all these metrics about all sorts of stuff, your connections, your JVM count, the memory being used, the processes that are open, the Tomcat web sessions, CPU count, load average, all that good stuff. But, connection pool information. But what we care about is the token usage number, right? So let me put that down here, okay? And then this will show you, hey, you've consumed 788 tokens for that. I've only made one request in this session, so it's only that one, and it measures both in and output tokens. This is very important. And this is in memory in my Actuator application, but you can use Micrometer to, like you said, to publish this to your single pane of glass, like CloudWatch, like Datadog, like Dynatrace, like.
And then set alerts and all that
You can
good
do
stuff.
Elastic, Kibana kind of stuff as well, right?
They do that.
Yeah. Thanks to our friends over at Elastic for sponsoring tonight's Java user group. So you can totally do that, right? Like it's just a different story, but my point is it all starts with the
You
Actuator.
just get observability out of the box.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
What do you want, especially in the AI world when you've got all these, because the thing is, the token count, it's not about how much you send in or how much you send out, it's about both. You could say, hey, give me rewrite the contents of War and Peace, but translate it into German, right? And that would be a very long response, but the prompt would be very, very small. Or you could send it the contents of War and Peace and say, reverse it or something like that, right? And it would, whatever. Or just tell me the number of characters in this. That'd be one very small response, but a very large input. So you want to measure both, and you can do that here. Okay, so we've got observability. We found the dog.
We found the dog.
What's the next natural step from here?
We want to adopt the dog.
I think so. Who wouldn't want to adopt such a doggo? So we need to give our model the ability to help us in our pursuit here. Okay, give it a little bit of a executive agency.
Oh, that's why we call them agents.
Yeah. Agency. So we're gonna do that, and then the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna give it access to tools. These tools are just functions and stuff. Are you being haunted by the music too?
A little bit, yes. Don't let it distract
Isn't
you.
it weird that there's music playing?
I know, but
Because there's nobody here. In theory, at this time of night,
right.
there's nobody here, so they're playing it for the ghosts,
I don't know.
right?
I mean, we're people.
I mean, what about Thursday night or whatever? Like, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna give our model access to some tools. And remember, what we've done so far is we've given our model access to our data, okay? We've given the AI model access to the data, and now we're gonna give it access to the business logic. We, as Java and Spring developers, are in an amazing position right now. And a unique, wonderful, ridiculously, unheard ofly amazing position. Most organizations run on Java and they run on Spring. The business logic that runs the world is mostly in Java and Spring. And those services are guarding data that is the blood of these organizations. And that's all guarded by services written in Java and Spring. So it's natural that we'd hang these AI integrations off the side of those existing services rather than try and rewrite all that business logic in some other ecosystem. You don't need Python to do AI. When people talk about doing AI these days or AI engineering, 99% of the time, they're talking about having a thing that talks to an AI model, which is using REST. It's using HTTP. There's nothing endemic to a particular language that makes it more viable, right? We can do this. We should be doing this. This is an amazing opportunity for us. You can add AI, you can integrate AI technologies into your applications with ease, right? And benefit from that incredible ecosystem. So we're going to give our model access to some tools so that if the user should like it, we can maybe schedule an appointment for them, right? To come see or maybe even adopt a doggo. So let's create a class here, dog adoption scheduler. Okay, I'll call this, I'll make it a service because I'm feeling fancy. Okay, so string schedule int dog ID, string dog name, and we'll say at tool description, schedule an appointment to pick up or adopt a dog from a Pooch Palace location. Okay, and
So this description is really important because what we're doing is we're creating a way for the AI to know when it should actually call this tool. And so that natural language description is how it's going to have that information. And of course, you can have many different tools that are being plugged into your agent, and it needs to be able to make a decision on when it should call which. But then the parameters are also important as well. So this particular function takes 2 parameters, and we put some descriptions on those parameters because those parameters are, again, going to be indicating to the LLM when we make that call what data it needs to actually call that. And so it's not going to try to call this schedule function until it has a ID and a name of a dog. So that's all just information, metadata back to the LLM so that it knows about when to use this tool.
when your mom said, use your words, this is what she meant. Okay. So we're going to integrate that tool in the chat client there just by injecting it and giving it a reference to that. Okay, and we go back and do you have any rec dogs? That's the first. Maybe we should delete the chat memory again. I don't know if that matters.
We'll see.
Whatever. So over here, I'm going to do that again since I just deleted the data. Okay, do you have any neurotic dogs? Great, we got Prancer. Fine, on the way. We're on the right track. Okay, fantastic. When
When.
can I schedule an appointment to pick up or adopt Prancer from the San Francisco location. I'm so worried about like having spelling errors when I talk to an AI model. Huh?
Good news.
Oh, great news. Your appointment to pick up or adopt Prancer from the San Francisco location is scheduled for June 29th. That's 3 days hence, basically. The math is not great. We can confirm that it called our function because I printed out here, scheduled appointment for dog 45, blah, blah, blah. So it invoked our function, which we implemented down here. And I just gave it a hard-coded date, 3 days in the future. So I'm assuming it's like the nearest hour and it's saying it's already tomorrow and whatever. So it did it. We've got tool calling now, right? Which is nice, but this is all in Java, right? I've done everything locally on the JVM. And now again, I don't want to like alarm you or whatever, but somebody was saying that there are other, and again, this is one of those things that has not been proven, okay? Just take this with a grain of salt, okay? It's like the Higgs boson particle. For the longest time, scientists weren't sure that it was possible. Conceptually it was, but we just didn't know, okay? And so somebody suggested the other day that there are other languages and runtimes out there. I've not seen it,
Yeah. Tough.
but if that's true, then they're not going to be able to use this tool, this business logic that I worked so hard on. So what I want to do is extract it out, you know.
Make it so that other agents and other technologies could talk to this, or
Right.
even so that you can distribute this architecture, have your agents here and your then tools running over here and create like a microservices architecture with your
Yeah.
tools and agents.
So what would we use to do that?
Oh, there's a fantastic technology called MCP, and MCP provides us this way to do exactly that, have this network communication between our agent and our tools. And so Spring AI, of course, has built-in support for MCP, so we can take this tool that was running inside the agent essentially, and we can move that piece now out to an external MCP server.
So back to the lab again. Start that Spring.io. And here I'm going to create a service called Scheduler. I'm going to use the web support. I'll use the MCP Model Context Protocol client support.
Oh, not client.
No,
We're building the server this time.
server time. Okay, MCP server. Okay, hit enter.
That's all we need for that one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Now, this technology came out last. It was announced by Anthropic, makers of Claude Desktop and whatever. They announced it last November. Do you remember November?
In AI ages, it was eons ago.
I have no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was so young. So I've got this application. I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna say I want to start this up on port 8081.
We want to use a different one because our main application, our agent's running on 8080.
Right.
So we'll override the default.
I'm gonna do something terrible, something that you should never ever do ever, not even when you're all by yourself at home and no one is looking. I am gonna copy and paste code. And then I will export that method like so, okay?
This is just telling Spring that, hey, this tool that you have, now expose that as an MCP tool so that then when we make this request to that external server, that's the scheduling service, then it'll know, okay, here's the tools that I have available.
Right. And I've got now a dog adoption scheduler shaped hole in my compilation unit, right? That type is gone. And so what I want to do is tell it instead to draw the functionality from the remote MCP service. So I'll create an MCP client. Now this client, this is from the official MCP Java SDK. The MCP Java SDK maintained, it's officially part of Anthropic's GitHub organization and all that. And it's the official one, but we wrote it. The Spring AI team built the official Java SDK for MCP. And then we donated it to them. So we then rebased Spring AI support for MCP on top of the official MCP Java library, right? So.
And Quarkus also uses that for their MCP client and server, I believe. And yeah, now it's become like a lot of parts of the Java ecosystem are building on top of that MCP library that the Spring folks created and do most of the maintenance on. The AWS folks have been contributing some new features to it, so it's been good to see, but also many others in the community.
Love to see it.
Okay, so we've set up a transport. The transport piece is important because when we connect to this remote MCP service, we need to have some way to talk to it. And initially in MCP, there was one remote way to talk to MCP servers, which was a kind of weird dual channel thing where you open up a server sent events connection. And then whenever you want to tell the MCP server to do something, you do a post to a different URL, but then your response comes back through the server sent events channel that you've got open. So that was the initial protocol. And for a variety of reasons, they updated the specification to add a new transport, which is much more like a request response style, where you make a request and get a response. And so that's called streamable HTTP, which is the new transport. And the Spring folks in the community and some AWS folks are working on getting that new version of the MCP protocol supported. But you'll be able to choose. Do you want to use server-side events? Do you want to use streamable HTTP? Up to you which one works best for your scenarios. I think in a lot of scenarios, the streamable HTTP one is easier to horizontally scale, but there are some things that aren't possible in that one. MCP has some features to like send notifications from an MCP server back to the client, and that's not possible unless you have that kind of persistent connection open. So, okay, did you get it working?
I did. So I default tool callbacks. Here's the MCP sync client definition up here, pointing it to 8081, which is our other server.
And of course, that could be a remote URL. We'll share the code for this whole thing, and the code that we have up on our samples repo has all the stuff able to be run on AWS. And so then, of course, those URLs would be remote URLs, not localhost URLs.
So there it is on the scheduler application, right? Not the assistant over there. So it actually called the thing and did the thing. So we routed the request to the assistant, and then it called the scheduler, and that's worked. And this is kind of did you mention standard in and out?
Oh, I didn't mention standard in and out.
So there's actually a third variety of MCP service.
So you can also use standard IO as your way to talk to that MCP server. The primary way where this gets used is in your AI code assistant. You may want to fork a process that starts an MCP server, and then the channel that it's going to use to connect to the code assistant agent will be standard IO. And so that's really the only time that you would want to use standard IO is if you're using it in that kind of code assistant scenario and forking processes on one machine. So useful for code assistants. I personally think that most of the stuff should just move to be cloud services, because most of the MCP servers that are coming out now are like an MCP server for Heroku just announced.
Right.
So it's great. You point your code assistant at mcp.heroku.com, and great. Now your code assistant knows about all your Heroku stuff, just as an example. And so that's, I think, the right way to do a lot of this stuff that is currently being done over standard IO and forked processes. Just put it in the cloud. So
just put it in the cloud. Does the platform company you work for have a MCP thing?
So yes, we have a code assistant called Q. There's a CLI version and then an IDE version. Today, those only support the standard IO mode, the fork process mode. But there is a pretty easy way to essentially bridge from standard IO to remote MCP server. It's just a Python package called like MCP remote or something. And so that's pretty easy to set up to do that bridging. So that's kind of a stopgap until more of the AI code assistants get support for the remote MCP servers.
Does the cloud company you work for have an MCP service for the platform?
So what we're doing today, there is a whole repo under AWS Labs for MCP servers. Today, they're all running locally, I think all through Python. And so that's the kind of easy first step that a lot of people took into MCP was to distribute their MCP servers that way. So maybe in the future, we'll have remote MCP servers, but for now, there's like 40 MCP servers out there in the AWS Labs MCP repo that you can use. And those do all sorts of things, like the whole AWS documentation is available as an MCP server. You can get information about your Dynamo databases and your metrics, and there's tons of them out there. So a lot of the surface area of AWS is covered by MCP servers,
so cool.
all distributed through Python packages at this point.
You could have left that part out. So anyway, there's the Googles. I think they have a MCP story going on now too, and Microsoft Office 365, Salesforce. You mentioned them.
Salesforce, yeah, just announced some big MCP support today. So yeah, lots of great stuff happening. I think what's important around MCP is that
we on the Cloud Foundry team also have one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
oh,
awesomeness.
Great. So in our example here, we're using MCP in kind of an enterprise data scenario where, as Josh said, we're connecting to our business logic through MCP. There's the two sides of MCP. There's like the code assistant side and using MCP as essentially plugins for your code assistant. But then there's a whole other side, which we're showing here, which is like enterprise integration, essentially.
That's actually that's a great word, but don't cry, okay? It's fine. When I think of the enterprise integration, I think of the good thing. So 20 plus years ago, there was the SOA wave, and then the crash, and then and like the hype that we were sold at the time was, hey, let a million REST APIs, or sorry, SOAP APIs bloom, and then we can all just take from that garden and just assemble our way to production, right? And we can have this like cran box full of amazing MCP services. And it never materialized because it got bogged down by the tedium of integration of WS star and all these different protocols and security and orchestration and schema and WS. All that goes away with this. The orchestration is handled by the AI. I think it'll figure it out. What about the schema? What's the schema? It's those English language sentences that we wrote earlier in the tool annotation, right?
Yeah.
And it'll suss out sort of by the shape of the method and all that, what to pass into it and where. And it just gets so much easier. So now there are some limitations still. We're still, like we mentioned, there's a gap at the moment. Each vendor right now is plugging in their own security story, but the spec has just been updated to account for, there was a bit of miscommunication that lingered for a couple of months, but thanks to a very, very public outcry, the spec is now updated to reflect that an MCP service should be a resource server in an OAuth scenario. And so you can expect guidance from the Spring team and others on how to do. That's actually, there's a great blog actually from Daniel Gagne-Moirot on the spring.io/blog from like a month ago, showing how to, as a concept, get OAuth working with the updated guidance. But that's going to get even more refined very soon, right? Now that the official guidance has been published. So
If anyone wants more details on auth with MCP servers, we can talk afterwards,
Right.
because I've
it's a
been deep in
part.
that world lately. And so
Yeah, that's a party.
yeah, that's a party.
Now, one last thing before we wrap up here. All this time we've been talking to the model, and I give the nerds at AWS a lot of credit. It is super fast, but I mean it's still a model. It's still taking on the order of seconds to give me a response. It's very few seconds, but it's still seconds. As SLAs go, that's not great, right? That's not great. It's not great for. I mean, it's all models though, not just yours. And that means that each time we make a request, since we're in a servlet container, one thread per request, each time we make that request to the model, we're stuck in that servlet method, just waiting, right? And that happens on a thread, and there are very few threads on the JVM that we want to use or can use. So it's very important not to just waste those threads. We want to make sure that when we are on a thread that we are as efficient as we can be. Threads are the means by which we access the CPU. They're not meant for us to just sit there and wait for bytes to come back, right? That's a waste. So how do we get around that? Well, there's two ways. One, you could do reactive programming, but I didn't. So that's not an option. And then the other one is to use virtual threads. How many of you have heard about virtual threads in Java 21 and later? They're super duper good. Java 21 later, virtual threads. So what you want to do is you want to make sure whenever you're talking to a thing that might block, that is to say, it might sit there on the thread waiting for a response, you want to enable the virtual thread support. Now, behind the scenes, what you have to do in Java is you create an executor or you create a thread, and you can use the executor's factory method there. So here's a regular traditional non-virtual thread executor, but I can use a virtual
Real
thread
quick on that one.
for task execution.
Underneath the covers in Spring, like that's what's happening.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah.
And so you can do that, right? This is behind the scenes. You have to switch your executor, and you usually do that only in one or two places. But it still you might have a lot of places. There's the thread pool for your web server. There's your integration layer, your messaging code with Kafka and RabbitMQ. Lots of different thread pools. So you got to make sure.
Your chat client has a
Chat client, yeah. So you got to make sure that all that stuff is properly handled. But it's pretty. Look, it's not going to be too bad. Okay, I believe that anything worth doing is worth doing right, and I believe that if we just put our heads together, we can get some good results. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just focus on this, and okay, it's done. So there we go. We now have virtual threads enabled in our application. This is I'll show you what this does, but it's very hard to see it from here. So I'm gonna steal a demo. Going back to the lab again, okay, VT. I'm gonna steal a demo. I'm gonna just bring in the web support here. This is a demo from my colleague, Cora. She's a lot smarter than I am. Her name is Cora Eberklade. super, super smart. Find her on the internet, watch her stuff, listen, read her, whatever. I mean, just super, super, super smart. And she put together this great demo a few years ago, and I'm going to show it to you. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a Docker image here called HTTP bin. Okay, it's going to run. It's a Docker image that's going to start up on port 80, which is amazing. So here we go, port 80. There you go. And you go here, localhost 80, default 5. Okay, is that not working? What did I do?
You said a typo at the end, I think, or wait.
Computer?
Are you just allowed to listen on port 80 like that?
That's what I'm confused about. There, it says 80.
And you exposed it.
I mean, it's only worked a million times before.
Huh.
Huh?
Didn't you say you had something on 80 earlier?
I had
No.
80.
Maybe you shut it down.
Oh, wait. I'm so stupid. Oh, it's that LaCroix. I blame that. Hold on. Oh, it's not.
blaming the LaCroix.
Yeah, it's just incredible. Okay, look, it used to before that I was sure it was the Vimotions, but now I know what's the real problem.
LaCroix.
Yeah,
Totally bombed this whole presentation.
sapping the energy of my life force. So okay, it's delay, not default. So you you can't see it because Zooms don't work on this thing, but here's the URL, right?
Localhost / delay / 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you go to delay /5, guess what? It delays for 5 seconds, right? So,
So wait, this Docker container, all it does is allow you to like
Sit
make
there
an
and wait.
HTTP request and sit there and wait.
yeah, for 5 seconds. So it's simulating a blocking call. You're waiting for something to happen. Where else might that happen? Oh, I don't know, when I call a model, right? Or an
Talk to a
embedding model.
database or-
Talk to a database or call another microservice or another REST API or whatever. So let's now create a little application that does that. So here we go, add controller, add response body class, Cora's awesome demo. And by the way, like I said, follow this amazing person. She's super smart, okay? Okay. And basically, I'm gonna delay.
That's the French way you spell delay.
Yeah, exactly. Application, this will be on port 8082, okay? And in order for this to work, again, I'm gonna need a REST client. So I'll do the same thing as we did earlier, REST client, hello, .builder, private final REST client, HTTP, and HTTP.
So it's simulating a REST API that's going to make some other call to a database, a
Right.
model, or whatever, and then that's going to take a little while. And what we're working towards is what this is like with and without virtual threads, right? Like virtual threads should help us deal with this problem, because if we're not using virtual threads and we're not doing reactive programming, what the default's 200 threads or something
Right.
on Tomcat, and so we get 200 of these on a server, and so we're going to kill our ability to utilize that server fully. If we turn on virtual threads, then it should be better, right?
One hopes. So let's take note of the threads. So var threads equals thread dot current thread. Okay. Come on, threads.
We don't want to throw it.
No, I mean, it fits in roundabouts, right? Okay, here we go. So
Oh,
Um,
fancy. We're going to see if the entrance thread and the exit thread are the same.
I have changed, right? There we go.
Fancy.
Okay, so we don't need the response, we just want the threads. So there we go, I'm gonna run this program. And again, just like you said, we've got by default 200 threads per JVM application, which is not good. We are in a bit of a pickle here because we have a vexing problem that we just didn't have when I first got into IT. When I first started working in IT in 2002, we were given these pizza box servers, these rack-mounted pizza box servers, and we were told to install like Solaris or I guess Linux eventually, and then get those things into a data center. And data centers are big refrigerated rooms with complete, never mind. Anyway, the point is, we were supposed to do that, and we did in a sort of circumlocutive way. But first, we played Doom. And the reason we played Doom is when else would I have the chance to play a video game on a $20,000 computer, right? I could do that back then. Because back then, the best computers to which I had access were in production, and the devices I had at home were not, right? They were like lousy, dumb terminals, not very good at all. And now it's the opposite, right? Nowadays, my goodness, these machines that we have at our fingertips are freaking amazing. This thing has 128 gigs of RAM. That's a lot of, I can run Teams and Slack at the same time. At the same time. It's an amazing computer. Scientists couldn't do this a few years ago, right? Just an incredible result. And your computers, anything in the last 20 years is freaking amazing compared to what we were dealing with way back when. But now it's the opposite. The machines we have access to at our desks at home or at the office are amazing, but the ones that are in production by definition are commodity yesterday's commodity Linux machines that scale out. They're commodity Linux boxes, right? That's the whole point. They're not meant to be, you're not meant to scale up, you're scaling out. And so, yeah, so this is, I'm gonna force this to have a little contention. So it's like, 10 vCPUs or whatever, okay? So I'm gonna say 10 threads instead of 200,
Okay,
okay?
but just to play devil's advocate, why wouldn't I set the max threads to be 1 million?
Because that's a finite resource, right? You're not gonna be able to, at some point, you're just not gonna be able to do that, right?
So there's like thread contention.
Yeah.
So you've got this context switching because ultimately a thread is working on the CPU. And if you had 1 million threads, a lot of time is actually then spent on the thread context switching to actually get time on the CPU. So there's a huge overhead to just doing more threads. But then also on the JVM, each thread has what by default a meg or two of memory. Yeah. And so then you start to blow through a lot of extra memory. So generally you want the ideal is to match your number of threads to your number of CPUs. That's the most efficient way that you could use a CPU.
Right. Okay, so I've got this application up and running. And again, so we're clear. It's going, each time you call localhost 8080 it's going to call this other service on port 80/delay/5, blocking for 5 seconds. We're going to take note of the thread's identity and name and all that before we make the request. Then we're going to make the request, and then we're going to take note of the thread's identity after we've made the request. We'll print out the before and after thread, and we'll return the response. Capiche? Good so far? Okay, some load testing here. Hey, minus n is 40, 20 requests concurrent. So it's 40 total, 20 concurrent, delay, okay? So sad. What just happened?
Was it 8082?
I blame myself. Nope, actually I blame the quad.
Okay, so what's happening?
It's making as many as 40 requests with as many as 20 at the same time, but each one's going to take, there's only 10 threads, and I'm asking for 20 threads at the same time, 20 requests at the same time. So somebody's going to have to take a ticket and get in line, right? Like there's contention. There's not enough threads to handle
See
all.
the server logs?
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Here's just, I mean, you can see this is how physics work, right? You start here, you keep going. Are you James Ward? Yes. You walk over there, you're still James Ward.
Yeah.
Right? That's how the world works most of the time. So we started on a thread and we did nothing to exit or change the thread. So guess what? We're still on the thread. The problem is that while we were calling that downstream service for 5 seconds, nobody else was able to use that thread. So what if we could park that code somewhere and then and let somebody else use it in the meantime? So let's do that. We'll refactor, of course. Say Spring Threads virtual enable is true. Reload. And okay, now same request. Oh, I didn't take notes, did I?
What?
Did I take notes? Oh, I did. It's up here. I can just scroll up.
Oh, there it
Forgot
is.
about how computers work. Okay, here we go. So let's take note of that. That's the bad number.
So you got about 2 requests a second
Well, hold on.
on that first one.
This one's the finished one. Okay. So there you go. You want to break it down? What does that look like to you? First one's bad. Second one's good.
Yeah, I mean it's a little weird because we only made 20 concurrent requests, and each of those was
5 seconds.
waiting for 5 seconds. So you could do the math and figure out sure enough, in the virtual threads example, we were essentially as efficiently using and handling those 20 concurrent requests as we possibly could. Whereas in the first one, not efficiently. We were constrained by that maximum of 10 threads at a time.
I mean, it's 20 seconds for all 40 requests to get made over here. 10 with virtual threads. The slowest of the requests without virtual threads took 300% of the happy path, Whereas with virtual threads, it was just 5 seconds and some change, right? A little bit more. The fastest is about the same. Uncontested access to a thread, in fact, with non-virtual threads should be faster, ever so slightly, but whatever. And then the average without virtual threads was 7.6. With virtual threads, it's 5. Just slightly a hair over 5, right? That's what you want. So virtual threads means you can handle a lot more scale with the same
Well,
computer.
can you try hey with like 1,000 concurrent requests? Does your computer
I
support
can,
that?
I can't even, no, we're not doing that. I think, yeah, anything, did we forget anything? What's the next step after
We
that?
got some good bonus material in there with JBang
Oh, yeah.
and with,
Well, I wouldn't
with
say good.
virtual threads. And,
Yeah.
and we didn't show Graal VM, but that's for another day.
Another day.
Yeah.
All this is to say, by the way, we're using Spring Boot 3.53, which just came out like a minute ago. Later this year, Spring Framework 7 and Spring Boot 4 are gonna arrive, because I was thinking about performance, and that should be a little bit faster, right? Phil, oh, he's running out for the door.
It's like, I'm out of here.
Well, the modularization, does that have a performance impact? Nominal?
He's not helping you.
When we've done it.
What?
I'll let you know when we've done.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Still some work to do.
It's gonna be really good. There's this new release. It's November, I think, roughly, usually. So check that out, and check out Spring AI, start that Spring AI.
Oh, let's show them where the code is.
Oh, yeah, code.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay, wait, I don't know how to use your computer because it's got those Vim bindings.
No, it's not in the operating system. It's just every text editor ever. I've got Sublime, I've got Zed, I've got,
So it's so hard to see where things
yeah,
are.
they
when-
put the Zoom thing right where everything in the world is.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. Okay, we're gonna go to AWS on GitHub, AWS samples. Oh, that's the repo right there. You have it in here. Okay,
Nectar.
so the repo is where the code is AWS-samples is the org on GitHub. Thank you. And then the repo is sample-agentic-AI-demos. And if you go in here to modules, the one that we just walked through is Spring AI, Java, Bedrock, MCP, RAG. We really threw a lot of things into
All the
the
things.
naming of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is all runnable on your machine and on AWS. So all the code that we just showed is up in that repo.
You can upgrade to.
Oh, I just did it on my computer. I haven't pushed it yet.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get up to 3.53.
Yeah.
I literally,
But I
while
also
while you were writing your book today, I
Right.
was upgrading the versions of things.
Spring AI M8 is no,
Oh,
it's GA.
I did bump that one too.
Oh.
Yeah, we're at 1.0 on Spring AI.
Okay, you're fine then.
Yeah, that's just an old commit. On
All right.
the last time I touched resources.
Well, so-
Okay,
Thanks,
was that
buddy.
all?
I think we
Thanks,
did
buddy.
good. Who had
Um,
fun? Okay, good. Who learned something new? Okay, good. Good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, we'll be around if you have questions. So
We got a couple from
Oh,
online.
awesome.
And
Okay.
then is it okay if we do the online questions first, folks, and then we'll do ones in the room? Andre was asking if you could just kind of compare MCP and agent to agent briefly.
Oh,
Do the
great.
thing, do the
Oh,
thing.
yeah, the thing. Yeah, so MCP, it was initially created to be agent to tool and be the protocol for agent to tool. You can also use it for agent to agent because you can actually expose an agent as a tool. And so that generally works. We did a blog post about a month ago on the AWS open source blog about how you can do this and how you can do it with Spring AI. We actually had Spring AI code in that blog post. But if you just search for like AWS MCP interagent, you'll find that blog post. But so you can use MCP for that. There are some things that are not today supported in MCP that may be needed in your inter-agent communication. One of those is elicitation. Elicitation is the idea when you make a call to an agent, the agent may decide that it needs more information from the caller, and you want to elicit that additional information back to the calling agent. And so AWS worked with the MCP spec and the community and the Spring AI implementation of MCP to add elicitation support into MCP. That just came out in the latest version of the protocol, which was just last week, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think that one's now merged, hasn't gone into a release of Spring AI yet, but so anyways, you can use MCP for that. It wasn't the initial or original intention of MCP MCP to support interagent, but it is possible in some scenarios to use it for that. Google created A2A, which is intended to be the agent-to-agent protocol. And they just actually Monday announced that they have open sourced that with the Linux Foundation, and AWS and many others are supporting that effort. And so A2A can be a great protocol that you use for agent-to-agent. I'm working on some code examples of A2A that'll go into that same repo that we showed you around how to do A2A with Spring AI and in Babel. We'll do some in Babel stuff. But in terms of like which one you should use for your agent-to-agent communication, I think it depends on a number of factors for like what you actually need in your agent communication. And so I'm working on some content that'll detail out like the differences between MCP and A2A for interagent. For me, my personal opinion is that I'm going to default to MCP just because I like to have one protocol for tools and agents. It's kind of nice and clean. But A2A, there probably are some scenarios that I get into where A2A would make sense. One of those that's an important part of A2A is in A2A, you actually publish a HTTP file, an HTTP accessible file that is a well-known like agents.json file. And that actually is a way for anything to be able to discover what the capabilities are of that server in a JSON format. And so I think that it's called the agent card. And the agent card, if you need that discoverability, that would be a good reason to use A2A. In the future, there is likely what will happen is that there will be lots of agents running on the internet, and it'll sure be nice if you could just like point to a URL, get the agent card, and then decide and then integrate that into your agentic system. And so that's a place that A2A with the agent card has a difference from what's available with MCP. All this stuff is moving very quickly. I'm working on content examples around that, so keep an eye on that repo and the AWS open source blog. We'll have more coming out.
I think I found the blog post. I put it in the
Awesome. Thank you.
The
It's called like open protocols for agent interoperability.
open protocols for agent interoperability, part 1, interagent communication on MCP. Was
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's got Spring AI samples, and then the code for that one is in that same repo. That
Love that.
The link for that's in the chat. There are a couple more questions online, but why don't we take one from
I want to say this landscape is moving very quickly. And we have people on the team that are working on this full time, right? You've highlighted several times the camaraderie and sort of teamwork that's happening across the community to sort of make this really, really, really amazing moment in time workable for people, but it has had, that's not to discount that it is very, very difficult to keep up. And we have people on the Spring team who are working full time on this. But I'll tell you, when the Anthropic stuff was announced back in November, we had support for it in Spring AI within a week or two, right? Like
Because Christian's freaking amazing.
Right. So this is a photo of our colleague on the Spring AI team, Christian Soloff, before the Anthropic stuff dropped. It was just, this is before. Look at that hair. And then this is after. Okay. It's been very hard. Okay. I just want you to know it's been very difficult on all of us.
Okay. All right, very good. Okay. AI contributes to hair loss, folks. You heard it here first. Anyone in the audience, question for our intrepid dynamic duo here? Yeah, please. Bob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. So you showed a lot of models on AWS Bedrock. Are those region specific or they are available in all the regions?
There are some regions that have differences in models. And so I think if you go into like European regions, then there's some models that aren't available there. So yeah, there's differences. And of course, that's documented in our documentation, which models are available in which regions.
Okay, one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if I were to run this demo that you showed using my AWS API key, how much would it cost me?
Oh, you know what we could do for that? So we have an MCP server that will actually help you estimate costs. And so what I should do is actually go into, I'll use Q, CLI, I'll plug in that MCP server, I'll point it to my, I'm using CloudFormation, I'll point it to my CloudFormation and I'll actually ask it. And then I'll update the README with that information. So I'll get back to you with that. Watch that README, I'll put that in there. Yeah, so the easy or better answer to that is the demo that I built runs on ECS, and I use just like a single CPU, like a low grade, low power ECS server. So in the demo that we showed, I have the ECS server for the MCP server. I have the ECS server for the agent, and then I have a CloudFront gateway or CloudFront CDN in front of that to be able to access the MCP or the agent server.
ECS container service?
ECS, yeah, thank you. ECS is the Elastic Container Service.
Okay, just
So it's a way to
checking.
run containers.
Okay.
The pricing does depend on which machine you put underneath ECS. I think the one that I use in the demo is like a $30 a month machine or something like that. So it and for here's one thing back to MCP protocols is that today, because Spring AI and the Java SDK for MCP only supports server-side events, in order to do server-side events, I need something that is persistent, some compute that is persistent. So that's why I used ECS for that one. Now that the new streamable HTTP protocol or transport exists in MCP, you can run MCP with streamable HTTP on Lambda or on other serverless services. And so then you can get to a utilization-based pricing that's based on how much time you're actually using. But as soon as Spring AI and the Java SDK support the streamable HTTP, then I'll probably port all the examples to use Lambda, just because then if you want to actually get the demo running, it would be lower cost for that.
Okay, so hallucinated AWS cost estimates as a service. You heard it here first. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Any other
Through
questions?
MCP.
Through MCP. Yes, sorry. Yes. Hallucinations powered by MCC. I'm just joking. Anyone else with any question? We got a couple others stacked up online. I don't want to jump in front of anybody but in the room. Okay. One question, Andre is asking a bunch. So Andre, appreciate your enthusiasm. I do want to let a couple other people get in questions too. But I thought this one was good. Tell us a little bit about like why one vector database over another, or why one vector embedding model over another. Like
Well,
why, I know those are different questions, of course, but
Well, when it comes to the vector store itself, you should just use Elastic. And I want to thank again our sponsor. Thank you very much for hosting this.
the only.
Elaborate on the technical details why that is true.
I don't know the details. Don't do that.
I'm sure somebody here at Elastic would be able to
You
elaborate.
should talk to Philip afterwards, folks, about why that's true.
That's
They have kind of been doing it for a while, in all fairness.
yeah. I don't know, like different vector database options, like what the trade-offs are there.
Okay, no worries.
I don't know if anybody here knows.
Yeah.
Could
Somebody
talk
here's an
about that.
opinion.
That should be next month's talk.
Ooh, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Vector databases. On the embedding model one, the only primary difference that I know of that I've explored is that some of the embedding models support batch and some don't.
Okay.
And so one of the reasons that we used Cohere is that it supports batch. So I don't know if we were using it. We were trying to figure out if we were actually using it in our demo. But ideally, when we do the vectorization of all the dogs, all 10 of them, or no, 18 of them, that we could actually batch those into one request. And the Cohere model supports the batching. So that was one difference that I've discovered. But in terms of others, I don't know if anybody else has other things that would.
The batching is just for like wire performance. It's not for like token
Yeah.
window.
One network
Probably do
object
the
is-
same amount of token.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Unless you, yeah,
Got it.
yeah, just be a performance optimization.
And then Andre had one other good question that I thought is worth, in the context of doing the retrieval augmented generation, is the content solely limited by the model's context window size, or are there other constraints?
Is the context, wait, I'm sorry.
So when speaking about RAG, he was saying is the content solely limited by the model's context window size, or
Yes.
other constraints?
But I mean, there's, again, that for some of these models, it's hundreds of thousands of tokens. I wouldn't
Right.
worry about it unless you're sending like whole books at a time.
Well,
Generally, for just like the performance of how quickly you can get a response, you probably want to limit the amount of data that you're ragging
Oh, yeah.
into the prompt every time. And so that's why we do the similarity search against the vector database before we actually send it over to the context.
Well, to your point, AI has been moving quickly, so not everyone has been always keeping up with like the latest Google post of like, no, now it's, 1 billion tokens or, whatever it is next week. So if your sampling of the state of the AI industry might be, God forbid, a couple weeks old, or maybe even a couple months old, you might still think that like context window size is sort of an issue. Which
It is on the
it is
transport,
these
right?
days.
Like,
Yeah.
and potentially on latency. So there, you
Fair.
don't always just want to fill your whole context. And so it's one of the challenges of agents is how do you actually manage the context? Because if you're plugging in the whole chat history into every single request,
Exactly.
that could explode over time. So that's why we use the windowed memory, right? Where it's going to actually roll through instead of actually sending the whole entire history every single time.
Cool.
Like a decorator pattern. That's what I was looking for when I was trying to explain it.
Decorator.
I know we're a little over time, folks, but so thank you again, Elastic, for being patient with us. And just want to make some space
Can we get a selfie, by the way?
in the room. Can someone take a picture of?
No, you want to do
Yeah.
like
Wanna do a
this.
selfie?
Us with all of you in the background.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Is that okay? Okay.
Now, do we have permission? Does Josh have your permission to post this to Twitter? Because that's gonna happen.
Why is it called Twitter?
Yeah. What is X?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
Why?
The everything app.
Exactly.
Can you all like gzip -9 over there? Scooch. There's only so much of aperture to work with here, people. Here, you got the arms, do the thing.
Oh, do the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a face after I drink one of these. I'm sure to be a smile.
Okay, wait, are we blocking people? Where do we
Fat
stand?
hand.
You ready?
Get everybody.
Did I get everybody?
Lift it up, maybe.
Oh, up. Oh, yeah, there we go. Ready? Smile. Oh, God, what happened? Oh, it's that thing where it like zooms when I move my thumb the wrong way. Ready?
Okay,
You asked the wrong person to take a picture.
so good. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
You share that with us on
Yeah,
the.
can I give it to Peter and he can,
Yep.
will you do the,
So the replay and the GitHub repo link will come to you via the Meetup platform on the email you used to register.
if you want, I can send it, if you have like I can airdrop it to you or something. if you have
Yeah,
an iPhone.
exactly. You can also get it from Josh directly. We'll post the recording to YouTube and then I'll send that link out to everyone.
Thank you, Elastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Is there a Louis Abrantes in the room? Oh, is that you? Okay, cool. Apparently, you flew all the way from Brazil.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Just for us. Amazing.
Nice.
Wait, who is you? Which part of Brazil?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a high school student from Brazil and I flew here for Berkeley Hackathon.
Oh,
Cool.
Viva Patria. I love Brazil. Which part?
A small city near to São Paulo.
Oh, okay. Because São Paulo is enormous for, say, I love São Paulo, but I've never been to your city. I'm sorry.
Oh, probably.
I've been to São Paulo though.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I almost missed it. That's the word, I'm from Los Angeles. And Los Angeles has terrible traffic. Actually, my home city,
Yeah.
Los Angeles and Sao Paulo, very similar.
Yeah.
Bad traffic, wonderful weather, lots of great food, you can drive with your car down, Very,
Yeah.
very lovely place.
Nice, man.
Welcome, bem-vindo.
I'll tell you the rest of the story later. So.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Nice to meet you.
Cool. Just send me the link for the GitHub before you forget.
Ward,
Or Ward.
James.
Okay. I got the Google telemetry for it, but I didn't get the